The Insta360 1R is a top new action camera to hit the market. It's revolutionary with its modular design that allows you to shoot standard 5K video and 360 video on the same day of diving. The 360 video produced by this camera is quite spectacular and has the potential to push the boundaries of underwater video well beyond what other action cameras can do. We took the Insta360 1R to the Sea of Cortez in the Pacific Northwest to see what this camera is capable of. If you have any questions about this camera, feel free to drop a comment or email us at sales@bluewaterphotostore.com. If you like what you see, subscribe, hit the like button, and let's get started. Hey guys, this is Nirpam from the Underwater Photography Guide and Blue Water Photo. I'm here today with the Insta360 1R. This is the 360 degree mod in the dive housing. So the cool thing about this camera and the really revolutionary thing about it is that it's really versatile. You kind of pick and choose what pieces you want to add or subtract onto your camera. They're all relatively inexpensive and around what action camera prices should go for. And you can have a camera that suits your needs. So if you want something that shoots 360 degree video, or you want something that just shoots normal 4K or 5K video, you can do all of that with this camera. So the way the 360 mod works is it has two cameras, one on the front, one on the back, and it takes fisheye video of 180 degrees and stitches that video together, and you get this really cool effect where you can view 360 degrees of footage. So if I was holding this up, it would view me and the subject in front of me at the same time, and when you're viewing that footage, you can actually scroll through the video and see other things. One of the really cool things that I like about the 360 mod and the video from it is that you can actually edit the video in Insta360's app, where they also have a software for desktop, and you can stitch it together and really do some amazing fields of view where you have a bubble effect, a fisheye effect, a globe effect, and you can really push the limits of creative video when it comes to what you're viewing, and you can get everything in a scene, which is kind of a first and a pretty amazing thing to do when it comes to underwater videography. So I have some edits here that I'm going to be playing that I've done, and please excuse my editing. It's very heavy editing. It's a little bit over the top, but I just want to show you guys what this camera can do when it comes to field of view and seeing things. I think the 360 video is really why you should get this camera. I think this 360 mod, so this piece inside of the housing, I think that's the highest quality video that I've seen so far. I really like how it comes out. It's good to do it when you have a lot of light coming from the sun, so it's going to be better for definitely in the tropics. In cold water where there's less visibility, it's a little bit harder to see all the subjects, but it still does a very good job. The housing is rated down to 30 meters, so that's about 100 feet, which is plenty for most dives, but just be careful not to go below 100 feet with this housing. As you can see, it has to keep a lot of air inside. It is pretty buoyant, so just keep that in mind. You might want to attach some kind of some kind of lanyard or something that you can attach to your BC. It's got a 1/4-20 screw here, and then also on the bottom of the housing. The selfie stick comes separately. It's also an invisible selfie stick, so I highly recommend it. It's pretty cool because you can extend it and the camera won't capture the stick itself, so it'll disappear and it'll just show you and the subjects around you. I think this is perfect if you're going to be diving somewhere in like Indonesia, South Pacific, Caribbean, where you have these beautiful coral reefs and all these different animals around you. Same with if you're doing bait balls, kelp forests. It's a little bit hard to do macro video with this because it's such a wide field of view. Everything looks a little small. One of the cool things about Insta360's editing software is you can focus in on a subject like a sea lion, and then zoom out and zoom back in, and I think that's one of the just really cool effects of it. I also want to mention real quick that the 360 mod is very stable. So one of the things I really liked about shooting with the 360 video is that I could get a really stable video of myself and the scene around it. I think part of that has to do with the super wide field of view. I think the other thing is that the Insta360 has built-in stabilization. I believe they call it flow state stabilization. It's pretty much on par with other action cameras on the market. So it makes it almost like you have a gyroscope. It's fairly stable with the 360. I'd say it's even more stable with the 360 video than the straight video, which is another reason that the 360 video is one of my favorite aspects of shooting with the Insta360 1R. Alright, so now we have the Insta360 1R wide angle mod version of the dive housing and camera. This mod has a 1-inch sensor, so that's a sensor that's a lot bigger than most action cameras on the market. It also has a wider field of view, so it has a wide angle lens, which I believe is built by Leica, so it should be a pretty high quality lens. The dive housing is rated to 60 meters in depth, so that's 200 feet deep for the dive rating, which is plenty deep for any kind of recreational divers out there. I don't expect most people will be going deeper than 120, 130. So it's pretty sturdy on our dives. It was very sturdy. It comes with desiccant sliders that go inside, so it's good for defogging and it doesn't fog up. I didn't have it fog up once. So the camera, when it has the 1-inch mod, it can do a few things. It can take 5.3K video at 30 frames a second. It can take 4K video at 60 frames a second, which is really what I recommend because you want higher frames per second so that you can stabilize and slow down your video. It has something called steady flow image stabilization, so I found it to be about on par with other action cameras on the market, and that stabilizes your video so you get nice stable video, but you do have to do that in post-processing. It's part of the app, but it's very functional and very useful, so I like that quite a bit. There's also color correction in the app. The Insta360 1R is all about the app, so I do recommend making sure that your phone is compatible with the app. If it's not compatible with the app, where you can do a lot of your editing, Insta360 does provide a desktop version of the editing software, and it's not quite as good as the app, but it does an excellent job. My phone is a very old phone. It's not compatible with a lot of apps, and it wasn't compatible with this app, so I used the desktop version and I got great results. And it's very easy to use with my workflow. So basically I would just clip different clips and I would cut them, and then I would add the stabilization, add some color correction, export it, and then put it as part of my larger video in my normal editing software, and that worked just fine. When it comes to photography, this camera can do 19 megapixel still images, which is great. I found that quality to be pretty good. The HDR function is awesome. It's going to be a little bit harder to use underwater. You want to be as still as possible when you're using it, or you'll get some weird motion blur. But I found it to be pretty awesome. It worked excellent for me topside. So when it comes to photography, for topside photography, I find it to be pretty good. Underwater photography, you want to have an external video light to add some color when you're taking photos. It's not, but I would focus on video. It's not quite a photo camera. The selfie stick also works. Let me see where it is. Here it is. It's on my other housing. So the selfie stick, it just screws in to the bottom of the dive housing. And what's cool about the selfie stick, as I mentioned before, is it's a disappearing selfie stick. So if you're gonna take some selfie video of yourself, and I have some sample clips here, the selfie stick will just disappear. You can get some cool video and just see yourself and no annoying stick. It's also great for stabilizing your video, so I recommend the selfie stick for, pointing your camera and getting close to different animals. Animals tend not to get scared away when you have the selfie stick, so I do recommend the selfie stick. This whole system is going to be a little bit negative in the water. I still recommend tying it to yourself in some way with a lanyard, clipping it onto your PC. So that's That's an important thing to do with both the 360 dive camera and the 1-inch wide angle module. For underwater video, the 1-inch wide angle module is going to be the best one. It has a 1-inch sensor, so it takes in a lot of light. When it came to video quality, I tended to find that it didn't do very well in low light situations. So, be careful of that. Make sure you bring external video lighting. We at Blue Water Photo Store have lots of different underwater video lights, so we can recommend you what video lights to use. The mounting for this can be mounted on a tray, same as a GoPro. It's got a standard GoPro mount at the bottom. So you can mount that with a set of video lights and get some really nice light in your video. I highly recommend that. I also found that the color correction does need a little bit of improvement when it comes to the standard video. It changes the white balance, but a lot of those reds aren't added back in there. So filters might need to be done. I would recommend 2 Insta360 if they're watching this to add some filters. I think that would be awesome. Maybe a red filter. And to work a little bit more on that color correction, but it is useful. I did find that for shipwrecks it can bring out a little bit more of the contrast when you do use the color correction, and it's very useful for shallow diving. A lot of the diving that I've been doing recently hasn't been very shallow, so I didn't find it to be as useful there. But when it comes to video, the 1-inch mod's the best. But like I said, my favorite thing about this camera is by far the 360 video. I think that's just going to expand the boundaries of videography, underwater videography, as we know it. I think a lot of people are going to have to get used to the look and feel of that type of video, but I think there's a lot more that I can show. So if you're going through a school of fish and you've got this 360 mod, you'll be able to see everything, and that to me is pretty amazing. You can see how all the fish interact as the video plays. You can do some pretty cool angles when it comes to extreme sports, so surfing, kite surfing, anything like that. I think it's pretty useful even when you're jumping in with the camera when you're diving. I think that 360 mod, as you saw in my footage, it can be kind of interesting. And with that is the Insta360. I am pretty happy with this camera. I think there could be improvements with low light capability, dynamic range, and color correction, but I think the benefits certainly are the different module system, the 360 video. The 1-inch mod does do a good job, and it takes high quality 5.3K video with a sensor that's larger than other competitors. So in that respect, it does really well. And it's a very nice action camera to have. For the price, I think it's excellent. So overall, I do recommend the system. Anyway, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions, drop a comment. We'll respond right away. Send us an email, and we'd be happy to help.